the one we have might be the same one. Maybe.
It's probably a generation newer than that.
Okay.
That's the old Roadcaster.
Then probably
I actually really like the bigness of it. Everyone's like, it's too big. I'm like, I like how it's like sturdy. Like you set it on the desk and it's like a masterpiece. It's huge.
The whole ground shakes.
But we never, I mean, it sounds really nice coming out of it, but there's not much that you need to like I never press the buttons and do the wah, 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 or any of that cheesy stuff. So, yeah. Welcome.
What's up, man?
You got in last night from New Jersey?
I did, from New Jersey. Traffic wasn't too bad. Except by, I said, except by me. And you're like, well, of course. And I said, no, man, you don't understand. We have a highway falling into the earth.
I said, that sounds right for New Jersey.
Legit. One of the biggest highways in the state is just sinkholes. What I didn't even tell you last night is they measured, like, the first one happened, and then the second one happened, and then a report came out. They're like, yeah, there's like 96 soft spots that it could happen. It's like, what?
How do they even determine that?
I don't know. But it's over a town called, or it's through, the exits are through a town called Mine Hill. And so, like, mine shafts run underneath the highway. And so
they're probably everywhere.
Oh, yeah. And so it was like, it was like a perfect storm. But we made it out.
You made it out. Mm-hmm. Made it to Pennsylvania.
I did.
Came up to my house. You're like, there's a lot of woods around here.
I forgot.
A lot of trees.
Like, dude, you are like in the woods. Like I'm driving up your gravel.
We actually did redo our lane since the last time you were there, though.
The lane.
You realized that.
You redid the lane.
Yes.
Would you like shovel it? Like
no, we had a guy come in with an excavator and a bulldozer.
What did he do?
Flatten it out. You don't remember it before? It was like a riverbed.
Wait,
you literally had to like navigate your way up. We're like, yeah, you should not drive your sedan here because it was that bad.
I mean, I don't remember, but it feels the same.
Well, it's significantly better.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Well, anyway, yeah, you've been super busy. You got a lot on your plate.
Yes.
Just kind of wanted to talk through some of that stuff with life happenings with you.
Sure.
So kind of just explain what you do with the gym network and yeah, give us your little pitch.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know, I work two jobs. So I obviously coach with Ben, but then my other job, still
your primary
job, still with the gym, still in the gym industry, is I work for a company called Station Athletics, and we are a chain of CrossFit and what I'll call CrossFit-esque gyms in northern New Jersey. Cool part about our chain, and I'm 100% biased, but cool part is we're not a franchise. And so unlike, businesses like Orange Theory, F45, out by us, there's one called Alpha Fit Club. Those are all franchises. We're all corporately owned. So we have one guy who owns all the gyms. I work for him, and we run it from there. So it's been super busy because 2024, we went into 2024 with 4 locations. We opened 2 in 2024, so that brought us to 6. In 2025, we've had a lot of movement. All right, so we lost one gym. That was a partnership. So the last gym that my boss Joe didn't own outright, they ended up parting ways. So he bought Joe out. So we lost the gym and then added 2. So that brought us to 7. And then we just announced our 8th location, which will probably, if everything runs as it should, we'll probably be opening in, I'd say, 6-7 months.
Does he have like a long-term vision of how many he actually wants? Or is it just like as many as
No,
possible?
we do. So internally, have you ever heard of the term a BHAG?
No, it hasn't said something you've made up again.
No. So it actually stands for Big Hairy Audacious Goal.
Okay.
Gotcha. So it's become
that sounds exactly right.
Yeah. So it's become common vernacular in business through I forget where it originated, but I think in the book Good to Great by Jim Collins, he kind of termed that. So ours is we want to have 2,000 members by the end of 2026. which would, by our math, be anywhere between 14 and 16 locations. And then we want 20,000 by the end of 2034, which our math would be about 120 locations. So that's what we want.
120.
Yeah.
That'd be wild.
Yep.
Wow.
We got 9 years to do it.
Yeah. So I guess that would be like just more involve more like regional managers.
Oh, for sure. So like right now, so the end of last year,
I was gonna say, because like you're basically in charge of the GMs, or maybe in like 2022, you were just basically in charge of all the GMs.
correct.
Who were obviously in charge of like running the operations at the gym.
Yep.
So yeah, as you know, if you can't manage 122 GMs, so you're going to have a lot more bureaucracy put in place over the next couple of years.
Yep. So we're building out our corporate structure, and this is the first year. And honestly, we've had some growing pains this year. We've had a lot of new people in new positions. So we're very, very aggressive in our like growth, but at times we can get in our own way with that. And it was funny. Joe and I actually had an argument about something, and I sent him a text and was like, dude, we have to be more realistic with our timelines and slow down a little bit. You have to realize that we had our first annual conference in January where we kind of brought everyone together, went over the year prior, went over what we want to accomplish in the next year. And I was like, since the conference, we lost a gym. We have had some major staffing changes and had to let go of some longtime staff. We have 3 new general managers. Both of our district managers are brand new in their position, and we've tried to roll out, these 4 initiatives in the first 4 or 5 months. And he was like, yeah, you're right. We need to kind of pare down. And then I was working on a project, and he was really good at reframing me and being like, remember how we said we need to pare down? Like, these are the 3 most important things, and this is not one of those things. And I was like, you're right. So we had to kind of delay that. So we've narrowed our focus now, which is so nice. I kind of needed, we both kind of needed that reality check. But we have gone through some growing pains this year. Now, fortunately, we've gone through the growing pains while being able to increase gross revenue by over 8%. So that's been nice. But yeah, our infrastructure right now and kind of how we think it's going to lay out, because truthfully, I told our staff, like, I've never been here before, right? Yeah. Like, we've been as high as 6-7 locations in the past, but some of them were partnerships so that they were able to open quicker. So I'm like, I've never been at 7 sole corporate-owned locations. Definitely never been to 8 locations, which is what we're trying to do before the end of the year. Yeah. And we're trying to line up 9 and 10, in Q4 this year. Not necessarily start any construction necessarily, but like, hey, we have a town lined up, we have a location lined up, we're working on leases, stuff like that. And so I'm honest with them. I'm like, I don't know what this is going to look like, but like, we're digging ditches together. And so I try to encourage them that they're on the ground floor. So we have our part-time coaching staff. Above them is our general managers, so they run an individual location. And then this year we've sectioned it out where we have 2 what we call district managers. So they manage the GMs within their district, so their own like mini teams. And so the goal is to basically structure it where each district, by our estimation, really starts at 4 locations, and then kind of I could see it capping out at about 8, maybe 10 if we like.
Because it has to be within like driving distance for that person.
Exactly.
If you're in New Jersey, that's not that big of a radius.
No, and so my thing is, or our thing is like, okay, hey, let's keep it within driving distance so that person can easily manage all of them and pop in. And then what we think is like, okay, if we expanded, and I'm making up the numbers right now, but if we expanded to 14, 15 locations, okay, then we would need a regional manager. And that person might be in charge of the entire state of New Jersey.
What about an assistant to the regional manager?
So that's kind of, and my role is to be in charge of operations across the entire company right now.
Yeah. So lots of time for fitness.
All I do is work out all day. No. My staff will tell you that it's like I fit it like between meetings. My fitness looks, as you know, so different than it did 2-3 years ago. Because I think the last year I was like truly competitive was either 21 or 22. I did team quarterfinals. And then it was like honestly like a weaning period off of that, because it's like, all right, I need to focus more on the business side. And fortunately, I think I said in an interview a while on another podcast that I was like, what helped me reframe was I started looking for PRs in business, and so it became my sport. But it was not like,
yeah, it's your guys' podcast.
Yeah.
What is it? Shout it out.
Our podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're the Movement Mindset, powered by Station Athletics. And so we've been doing that for a little while. We got a ways to try to catch up to the Zor podcast. But that's been fun.
Yeah, it's a cool place to like send members to.
For sure. And it's been nice because it's like we have just a little under 600 members across our locations. And so like we put out to the staff and the members, like, what do you want to hear about? And that's been great for me, because then I don't have to sit in a room and try to come up with topics for the podcast. It's like,
yeah, you don't have to make stuff up.
Yeah, it's like, oh, great. I know people want to hear about this, and I know I have people who want to talk about this, and I just have to show up and interview them.
Yeah.
Usually I take class. So I'll take class. Class is an hour long. I'll take whatever we have going on.
It's just like different locations all the time, or is it always the same one?
So different locations now. Previous
9 a.m. here.
Yeah. So
3
like
p.m. here.
my main one was like our one location in Sparta runs a 3:30 class, and so like that's the one I'll tend to take. My boss Joe will tend to take, but again, the highway is sinking into itself, and so 80 is the main way for me to get home, and two places, and so I've had to be strategic on when I leave certain gyms. So for example, when I go to Roseland, I know I'm going to be there till 7:30 at night, because
if you try to leave earlier than that, it's pointless.
I'm going to get home at the same time.
Yeah.
So if I leave at 7, I'll be home by 7:30. If I leave at 6:30, I'm going to be home by 7:30. So it's like,
that's the reason I could not live in New Jersey.
yeah, but that's only but that's never been an issue in the past, but it is an issue because when you have a 4-lane highway that at certain areas goes down to 1 or is closed and has to get rerouted, things get backed up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I bounce around, and so now I do the class workouts, but maybe I can't do it with the class times because of when I have to bounce around. So what happens a lot now is
you do an hour class in 45 minutes.
Legit, yes. So I'll drive to Denville, because that's Denville, New Jersey. That's where I live. The one location has been literally maybe 2 minutes from my house.
Oh, nice.
So that was the easiest pre-sale I ever did in my life. It was so nice to be done selling at 7 and get home at like 7:05.
Yeah.
So I'll go there, and it's like, great, I got an hour in between meetings. So I write an 8-minute warm up, and then I do and then I do this, and then I do this. Bing, bang, boom, on a clock, 45 minutes, done. Is it ideal? No, but we make it work.
So you're not stretching for 45 minutes after.
No, and honestly, sometimes like if I have more time, so if I have 2 hours between meetings, then I might work out for an hour because I need to stretch more. So there is some of that, but yeah, most of the time it's like yesterday. So yesterday Joe texts me, and I'm leaving our newest location we started pre-sale on in Summit, New Jersey. And he's like, hey, when are you leaving? I told him, he's like, okay, can you swing by the Morristown building, which is going to be our newest location, on your way home and pick up the keys? No problem. So I swing by. The guys who he's buying the building from are tenants in the building. They're like old retired lawyers or retiring lawyers. These guys,
all the time in the world.
Dude, let me tell you. They're talking my ear off. I'm thinking this is going to be a 20-minute thing. Pick it up, head to the gym, work out, go home, pack, and come here.
Yeah.
An hour and a half later, I'm literally like, guys, I cannot stay any longer. And they're like busting my chops and talking to me. And then the one guy's like, come on, I'll walk you out. I'm thinking, thank God I'm going to be leaving. And then he's like, I got a couple stories for you. And I was like, oh my gosh.
A couple, not a story.
I was like, oh my gosh, I could not get out of there. So like I get to Denville, and what I thought I was going to have an hour to work out. And I was like, all right, I can do the strength work and then go home.
Yeah.
So.
Is there any moves that you're just like, I'm not doing that?
Pistols.
Yeah.
There was one.
That'll definitely be on my list when I retire.
Dude, well, like my ankles don't move.
Yeah.
And so it's not a good movement for me.
And your femurs are not short.
No. And so basically it's like
the only way you could do pistols is if like you're literally like Michael Jackson.
Yeah. And so it's like when I was competing, like my knees would hurt doing it, but it's like,
but you have to do it.
This is the task, right? I've chosen to participate in this sport.
You don't have a choice.
Right. So it's actually funny. It happened, I don't know, maybe like a month or two ago. There were pistols in a workout for class. And I went to go do the first one, and I was like, screw this. Why the heck am I doing this?
Literally, yeah.
It's like, I don't need to be doing these anymore. So that would be the first one. And I would say any other movements I scrapped. I wouldn't say scrapped. I would say I've developed a temperament with barbell snatching.
Yeah.
Like if my wrists bother me, I'll just be like, nah.
Yeah.
But if I feel good, then it's like, I forgot that this is fun, and so I'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
So I just kind of look at it where it's like, if it's still fun and my body doesn't hurt, then I'm winning.
Yeah. I feel like that's where I'll be at.
What's that?
That's where I'll be at once I'm done.
What movements would you scrap? Pistols, you said.
Pistols. Maybe overhead squats.
Yeah.
Just because, like, not so much that it's like I don't think it's a good movement. It's just like, am I going to want to take like 30 to 45 minutes to get warmed up for an overhead squat?
Yeah.
Because that's almost what it's going to take. Like, it almost takes me that long now. It's definitely going to take me that long, like when I'm not like on top of mobility and recovery and all the other stuff.
I think it might, for me with that movement, it depends on load. So it might be the same for you. Like if I have 95-pound overhead squats in a workout, it's like, all right, I'll do those.
Yeah, especially if I'm already warm and I've done some, it's in the back half of a class or something.
Sure.
And then I'm fine.
But yeah, if I don't want to say never. I don't foresee myself ever doing a heavy single overhead squat again in my life. Well, and to be fair, we don't program that stuff for class.
Yeah.
Because most of our members are Gen Pop, right? We maybe have a handful of people who are like, I consider a CrossFit athlete across all our gyms.
Yep.
And so it's like our main demos, 35 to 50 years old, usually got a couple kids, they got a full-time job, they're looking to lose weight or build muscle and maintain fitness. And so it's like there's certain things you might see other CrossFit gyms do. Snatch balances. Like we'll never ever do that movement. Ever.
Just picturing the average class member doing a snatch balance.
Well, and to be fair, like years ago we would do that because it's like we're a
not
CrossFit
that it's
gym.
Wrong, but...
No, we're a CrossFit gym. This is what we do. But I just remember seeing people like, oh, there's Susan. She's 48 with 3 kids and struggles to put her hands behind her head. And it's like, I just remember being like, why is this person doing this? And then you look at the class and we got good at like scaling and modifying and stuff like that. And you look and it's like, I got a class of 12 and 2 of them are doing what's prescribed today.
Yeah.
Why are we prescribing that then?
Right.
And so we've pared that down for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think either of us have ever been like the ones to really like push people into like, you need to be doing this.
Sure.
Unless they're competitive.
Well, because that's a whole nother conversation. And that's where, if you get into the Zor side of things, I've had conversations with clients who come to me, they're like, I want to be as good at the sport as possible. And I literally have the conversation with them of, okay, I want you to understand something. This line is injury, right? My job for you to really make as much ground as possible in the sport is to train you here.
Yep.
And for those of you just listening, it's right under the line of injury. Because that's where the biggest adaptation occurs. Now, you as an athlete in any sport, but we'll just talk CrossFit for now, you have to accept that, and I say this to people, that there's going to be sometimes I shoot a little too far under and maybe we don't adapt to the point that I want to. And then there's also going to be times where we shoot a little far over and you tweak something. Because, any sport, we wrestled, people play, like, let's use football as an example, right? Playing catch in the backyard with your son, you should not get hurt doing that. But if you put pads on and go to play in a college game, there's a chance you're going to get hurt, right? And that's kind of how I look at CrossFit, where it's like, in an ideal world, if you are doing what you should in your lifestyle and you're Gen Pop coming in 3 times per week, you probably shouldn't tweak something, right? But if you're coming in, you're like, well, I don't have a muscle up and I want to learn how to do it because I want to do as well in the open as possible. Like, there's a chance you tweak something because you're going for performance. So there's definitely a difference between the two.
Yeah. And I feel like the longer CrossFit's been around, there's more and more separation between elite athletes. Like before, 2007, you can be an accountant and go to the CrossFit Games.
Yes.
Now it's like, I mean, unless you got some elite genetics, you're not an accountant going to the CrossFit Games.
No.
It's like you could also probably get away with like generally doing some class and like if you're really fit, maybe we're at like a second session or something, you could like again like go places in the sport. And it's like just like now it's like so clearly obvious of like okay, like there's people who just want to like be fit, move well, get all the health benefits from doing fitness. And then there's the people who are like, yeah, you're a professional athlete. You're doing something completely different. And it's like the people who are professional athletes, it's like not that class would be pointless for them, but it would almost be like, oh, maybe I'll like jump into this class because it's like this will be a good, easy conditioning piece or something. It's not like this is going to develop me into the athlete I need to be.
Yeah, I mean, a great example of that was at our Roseland location. One of our coaches there, Mark Kwan, he's been to the CrossFit Games. He's been to semifinals, regionals, whatever you call it at that point of time in CrossFit, which is a whole nother conversation. And this year he did Friday Night Lights with the members. And it was like, it was watching two different workouts. Like you have people taking breaks at points in the workout that he's like just getting started. You know, we did a podcast on our platform where Dave, who is the district manager, he's like, you literally watched people crumble and then you'd be like a minute left and you'd see him kick it up a notch and go faster. Because it's like, okay, cool, this is where I turn it on. So it's two totally different things. And that's why for us, in our opinion, CrossFit or CrossFit style conditioning is the best to get people results, right? I'm crunched for time. How can I maximize your ability to burn fat and build muscle?
I think that's a great example. Is like you were competitive, you're no longer competitive, but you're still doing CrossFit workouts.
100%.
And it's like the reason being it's for all the things that got you into it in the first place.
Yes.
Except it's like actually like the pure form of it.
Yes.
Versus like the things that you have to do to be prepared to go out and compete.
Exactly. Like I'm not a big guy, right? Strength was always my issue when competing in CrossFit. And so now it's like I still enjoy lifting and I still enjoy lifting heavy for me. But like the best is when you got a 12 to 20 minute workout and like it's movements that I can move through.
Yeah. Burpee, total bar row.
Right.
And it's
and
just
I feel
like you get a crazy
after.
workout.
Yeah. And my thing is like, that's going to maximize for me. And a lot of people will get into CrossFit because of the fact that it's varied, right? It's just fun, right? Like it's not, do I enjoy the occasional bicep pump after a workout? Of course, right? But if I was training like that every day, I'd be bored to tears. And not only would I be bored to tears, but it would be so hard to get literally any quality work in 45 minutes. It would literally be like I hit
45-minute AMRAP curls.
Bro, like I would hit, it's like, you go to a global gym, it's like bench, you're on your phone, it's like,
yeah.
And so for me,
you have to make it CrossFit to like feel like you got to go work out, like circuit training almost.
Exactly. So it's like, even if I was to do a bodybuilding workout, I'm all of a sudden throwing it on a clock and doing it in an EMOM format so that I can get in the work that I need. And so, all right, it's basically CrossFit now.
Yeah.
And so, I do think it's the best way to get what you want out of working out. And then what we did is, so we have two tried and true CrossFit gyms. They would do what I would consider, true CrossFit. The rest of our gyms are what we call SA Fit gyms, which I tell everyone is a CrossFit undertone, but we eliminate some movements. So we don't do handstand walks, we don't do muscle ups, we don't do barbell snatching, we don't do squat cleans, but we do sound strength and conditioning principles and essentially what you kind of said, like the essence of CrossFit. And it's like, it's blowing up because we found that most on one side of the spectrum, you have CrossFit gyms, and I'll say dogmatic CrossFit gyms that are.
And that's the perfect word.
Exactly. Like I am a CrossFit gym. I am affiliated.
We're a CrossFit gym, so you have to do kipping handstand push-ups until you hurt your neck.
Exactly. When most of my membership is above the age of 40.
Yeah.
It's like, and so it's like that's one side of the spectrum, and then the other side of the spectrum is the F45, the Orange Theory, the Alpha Fit Club.
Right.
That's 90+%
There's
cardio.
like no skill development.
No skill development, and they say they have strength work, but no dumbbell in there is above 20 pounds.
Right.
And so it's like, no, you don't. And so what ends up happening is people in those gyms get a great results in their first 2-3 months because they didn't move previously.
Yeah.
But because they're not building any muscle, they're not strengthening their body to burn calories at rest, so they completely plateau, and then they're like, oh, I guess this is just where I'm at, and then they fall off. And so for us, we've married both worlds, where it's like we borrow and take all the stuff that we think is great about CrossFit, eliminating the stuff that most people frankly don't even care about.
No.
Like I don't care. Like some movements in CrossFit that people actually care about, they want to get a pull-up. They want to be able to lift heavy. They don't care if they can do a handstand push-up. They don't, like, the number of people at our gyms that would
or if they do, it's because like they see higher level athletes doing them, or
exactly.
like they see it RX a lot in the workout, so they want to be able to do that. And I don't think it's wrong to push people towards that.
There's nothing wrong with that, but they are where you said that most gyms don't realize is the client is the one guiding that.
Yeah.
Basically, like classic journey, right? I come into the gym, I'm overweight, I want to lose weight. I lose weight, I'm like, cool, I look better, I feel better. There's Johnny, he's doing cool things. How do I do that cool thing? Oh, this is how? You know, one that people really gravitate towards early on is usually double unders, because they can, as they lose weight, they can pick up on jumping rope, and then it's like, I should be able to just jump higher and turn faster. Like double unders looks cool, and so it's like, cool, I want that. And so that's usually the progression. Most people don't come in, hey, I'm overweight, I want to get a muscle up. You know?
Yeah, it's almost a hilarious thing to say.
But how many CrossFit gyms or CrossFit people do you know that coach people in that way? Yep. Hey, we're going to help you lose weight, and then you'll be able to do those things. When on day one, I don't care if I can do those things. I want to touch my toes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get off blood pressure medication.
Yep.
And until they get to that point, that's when they look to do the cool things. And so our SA Fit gyms, I think the way you phrase it is, I've never even honestly thought of it that way, but you're 100% right. To me, they speak to the essence of what CrossFit was about. And so that's kind of our model going forward.
Yeah, we literally just had a conversation about, Stacy and I had a conversation about this the other day, where it was like, there should be some skills that you're shooting for. Otherwise, it turns into Orange Theory, where everything is just like, no skill development, which it just puts you at a hole. And like, if you don't have any skill and you don't have any strength, you're missing a very key component of like longevity and like function.
Yeah.
Where, you have to have some level of that, but ultimately, like, the person gets to decide where that line is.
Sure.
So, like, should you be able to jump rope? Probably.
Yeah.
Do you need to be able to do double unders? Do you need to be able to do crossover double unders?
Right, right.
Again, you get to decide where the line is, but there should be like a minimal. You should at least process that and be like, hey, it's, I don't have to be able to do handstand walking.
Right.
But maybe I should be able to be comfortable upside down.
Right.
Like, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
Right.
Or even to the effect of like, I should have enough strength that I can hold my body weight in a plank, or hold it upside down, or hold a weight over my head for a length of time. Why? Because you might be moving stuff in your house and have to put a box on a high level. And if you're not strong enough to do that, then you're literally waiting for someone to come and help you.
All right. We got to get the new sword movement library of the antifreeze jugs. The worst marketing campaign.
Oh my gosh, that was literally the darkest days of CrossFit. I remember being so into the sport, and then all of a sudden I just see Grandpa lifting. Oh my gosh, what a horrible time. But yeah, the way we look at it is, as humans, for us to stay engaged in something, you have to see tangible evidence of progress and goal setting. And part of why people are drawn to CrossFit is because it gives you multiple data points to track improvement. And so for us in our company, right, so we have the scale. Every gym has an in-body scale, which tracks weight, muscle mass, body fat percentage, hydration level. So right there's 4 data points to track progress. Right? What are you smiling about?
Just got to get my drink quick. All I had today so far is coffee.
Yeah. So 4 data points to track progress. Then you have, how many times you come into the gym? That's another way to track progress. Before and after pictures. That's another way to track progress. But then it's like, okay, my lifts. Did I improve? Did I add 5 pounds to this lift? Did I add 5 pounds to that lift? Well, am I able to RX a workout I couldn't before? Can I do this skill? So all of a sudden, you go from what most people had, if I was to go to the gym by myself, 1 data point of max 2. What do I weigh on the scale and how do I look in the mirror? Which can fluctuate tremendously. You could be the same weight and look puffier one day because you had pizza and there's inflammation in your body. To like, not unlimited, but a ton. So if I have someone who's discouraged because maybe the scale didn't move the way they want, it's like, okay, but your lifts went up. And so if we can make some of these tweaks, it's like maybe you lean out a little bit and it's like, you know what, you're right. I am way stronger. I did an interview with a woman for a testimonial that's going to come out. And she's at our Roseland location. And she said to me, she was like, when I started, I'll never forget, there was a workout that had lunges in it. And everyone was using the barbell and I was using a PVC pipe and I still couldn't get up. And so, she has 2 kids. She was like, we would go around amusement parks and I'd have to stop and sit on the bench. And my 2 kids are, 8 and 5, maybe younger, full of energy. And they have to sit on the bench and wait for mom because I can't walk anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And now all of a sudden she's like, she's clean, I don't know what weight, but she's power cleaning almost 100 pounds or something like that. And it's like, that's function. Right. And now she has goals of lifting because it's like, I've already accomplished the goals of I can walk through an amusement park and not have to take a rest. And so to have that, which is what CrossFit brings, that a lot of these other companies like Orange Theory and all that stuff, like they don't have those metrics. And so it's like to have those metrics, it keeps people engaged in the process.
Yeah. Maybe they do, but not to the degree of like barbell lifts and other things. It's like very, very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sam asked on Instagram, I'd asked people like what they wanted to hear. Okay. And Sam asked what we had learned from each other since going from working like independently to now like collaborating on Zor, what we'd learned over the last 2 years.
That's a really good question.
I thought it was good too.
Well, do you have anything? Because you've had more time to think about this than I have.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I think that this podcast and even our conversations last night are a good sign of like you really talked about how like your new like frontiers, like the business side of things, like you're able to pour your competitive side into the competition that is business. And there's been a lot of like tactics and other things that you've brought to the table that have been really helpful and just like stuff that I've picked up from you. Yeah. So that's definitely been a big part of it. It's just there's always things in business that you can make more efficient, that can run smoother, that can be a new way to attack things. And I feel like that's definitely something that you've brought to the table. Yeah,
for sure. I think for me, so to answer Sam's question, the first step to take, I screwed that up, but is why did we even do it in the first place? And so I don't know if we've ever touched on that, but literally
probably a long time ago.
Yeah, literally I knew Ben from, I'll say college, even though you were coming in as I was leaving. And post college, he had gotten into CrossFit. And so we would communicate back and forth periodically during open season and stuff like that. And so I was doing my own thing. But again, at that point in time, I was doing that. I was doing some consulting for a physical therapy clinic on the sales side. I was doing the gyms, and then I was doing like one other like cold call thing because it was post COVID and I had to do multiple things to try to pay my bills. And so then as I pared down, I took a step back and said, I don't have the time, nor do I want to make the time, is what I should say. I don't want to make the time for the marketing and for what was Forged Through Faith at the time. I just want to coach people through that platform. And Ben's light years ahead of me in that realm. You already had a podcast started. You already had a full YouTube channel. You already had a movement library built out. And I was like, I cannot and don't want to put in all the time to get to like where Ben is at with all that stuff. So I literally messaged you and was like, hey man, you want to just combine? Like, you absorb me, I'll work for you, I'll just coach people. And that was like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. And then I've learned a lot from like the training side of things about like different protocols to use. Like Ben had all these systems already built out. It was like I still use, like I just go to your testing platform that you had built out before I ever came on, and was like, great, I'm going to use this. And we have,
I stole most of those tests.
but the thing is, like,
but they're good tests.
But not only that, like most of those tests, like I did too, because we stole them from the same spot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, where again you were so far ahead was like you had the sheets built out that track people's progress, and based off of that data where people should be, that I was like, oh, this is great. Like, I don't got to think about this. I literally just give people the test, plug it into the sheet you made, and then it's like, cool, this is kind of where you're at, and based on your goals, this is where you're going to want to be. Yeah. Saved me so much time and energy. So I think like that was humongous for me. That's
one of the things with like, we're not a big company, but the big companies, that's like one of the things that is definitely like an advantage for them, is that they have so much data.
So much data.
Like they see what elite athletes can do. They know where you should be at on certain metrics. If you're not there, they can be very clear about that.
Yeah.
And now we've been tracking, again, not that we have this massive data set, but we have, again, lots of numbers in there at this point, where it's like, you know, you entered numbers for clients for the last decade into a spreadsheet, it's gonna accumulate. So like we know where people should be at for 100 bar facing burpees.
Right.
You know, you know how many toe to bar you should be able to do in a set. Something like very basic, like, you know, 5K row, 10K, or 10-minute air bike, things like that. Where it's helpful to be able to, again, that's a good example of just like, that wasn't very complicated to set up, but it's like you do it for long enough and now it becomes very useful.
Yeah.
And also like really helpful for the athletes who are engaging in it, because now we actually have like real data on it.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be real. Most of the stuff we do from an implementation systems business side, right, is not complicated, right? We're in the gym business, for God's sakes, right? Like, this is not rocket science, but it's time consuming. And that time is like the most like expensive and most precious. Like,
that's why most people don't do coaching very well.
Exactly. And so the thing is, when I looked at what you had built, it's like, this would have taken me so long to make, and even longer because I had other jobs.
Yes,
right.
Yeah. And we literally talked about this last night as well when you came into town. It was like the first like 5 years or whatever of me coaching. It was like I had a couple of clients that I was working with, and I spent so much time on like content creation and writing and like doing all this stuff because it was like I had the time.
Yeah.
So it was like, and I had all these ideas, where it's like, as you get more clients, and you said this before, in the gym business, you're either busy or broke.
Yes.
And I was like, I was broke, so I wasn't very busy, so I had all this time to like create stuff, and now it's more like having to rely on the systems that we've built because now you're very busy with what you've got going on, and I have, a more full roster of clients. So
yes, yeah. And again, at that point in time, you and Brooke were newly married. You had no kids.
Yes.
And that's
no gym.
That's a game changer.
Yeah. I had a 9 to 5, and I was just, or actually, I think when I started Zora, I was just coaching like part-time at an affiliate.
Were you teaching when you started?
Actually, yeah. I think so.
Which is great.
Because it just started off as a website. I didn't have anything for sale. I wasn't coaching anyone. I just was like putting things onto the website.
Yep.
Because I liked CrossFit and...
Yeah. And teaching is a great time to start that, especially when you don't care about teaching.
Literally.
Because it's like, oh, I got an hour break, and I don't care about writing lesson plans, so I'm gonna do fitness on the website.
So I'm gonna watch these YouTube videos take notes.
Which is exactly what I did when I was teaching.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's so funny. Well, sweet. We got camp today.
We do have camp today. Stoked about it.
Yeah, we have a good crew here. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to. It's fun. It's fun. To be honest, every time we have camp, I stress a little bit because I lose time at home.
Yeah.
And Tiff is always a good reminder of like but babe, like, you have so much fun when you go. And I'm like, you're right. Every time I get out here and I see, I see Sam's beautiful face because he's at every camp, and I see all the people come in, and we just start talking fitness, and it's like, you know what it is? When you do this for long enough, and you coach people for long enough, and I know I'm not like old man, but I've been coaching people for 10 years. I got my level 1 in 2014, so I've been coaching people a long time. And there's not much that's new. And I think as a coach, you fall into, or I'll speak for myself, you can fall into like, this is not new. Like, this is not rocket science. But then you get into camp like this, and it's like, but it's new to them.
Yeah.
And you see someone like get it, or like the first camp when I went over rope climb cues, and everyone was like,
everyone's mind was blown.
Like, dude, what are you doing? You're like a wizard up there. And it was like, it reinvigorates that to be like, no, like this is so fun to be able to get that like aha moment for someone, or to work with them hands on and be like, they couldn't do a movement when they walked into freaking camp, and then they walk out being able to string things together just because again, you gave them a nugget, or you're able to like help them get something. It's like, it reminds you that like, okay, yes, you've been doing this for a decade plus, but like this person is where you were at the beginning of that journey is like a lot of fun.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that.